Someone is vacuuming? Mowing the lawn, and like, sorry, if I knew you were going to be here right now, I would have got lunch before I filmed this video, but I've already set everything up. I just want to get started, so wait, it stopped. I hope you didn't hear me. Can you actually imagine? Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, welcome back to my channel. If you're a returning viewer or subscriber, in today's video I'm going to be showing you every single romance book that I have on my TBR. So every single book I own physically that fits within the romance genre. I feel like I've acquired quite a few of these recently, so it'd be fun to share with you. This video is completely inspired by Rachel Catherine. I'm not even sure whether you can say inspired because I've literally taken her video idea. There goes the lawnmower. But I'm going to put my own little spin on it because I'm not going to be showing you books that I don't own physically. These are literally just books that I want to read and I have in my possession and I should be getting to within the next few months, hopefully not into years. That would be not ideal. Like I said, lots of these I bought recently, so I'm still in that kind of honeymoon phase where I'm really excited for all of them and I can't wait to share with you what I want to read in the romance genre ASAP. This video is purely about contemporary romance. There's no kind of Sally Rooney literary fiction moment going on. Nothing also with romance as a subplot, not even like fantasy romance or anything like that. This is purely contemporary romance books. Some YA, I believe, and then some... Actually, is there any YA? I think they're all adult, but I mean they're ones that upper end of YA could read. So yes, without further ado, let's get into the video and I'll show you the books that I want to read really soon. I'm excited about. So I'm not actually a massive romance reader. I started reading romance books kind of semi-recently. I loved a book with a subplot of romance, so I loved fantasy books that had romance in, or I loved like dystopian books with a subplot of romance and everything like that. But actually like books that are purely about the relationship between the two kind of main characters were not something I tended to gravitate towards before Bookstagram and Booktube. I think thanks to BookTok took that kind of route and they started being more focused around romance books. Early Booktube, Bookstagram days, fantasy was definitely the genre that most people were obsessed with. When I started reading a lot, that was the genre that I first picked up. Times have changed, its pendulum's kind of swung around to a different genre, and that's romance. I've read quite a few and there's some that I really dislike. Some of my least favorite books in the world. When a romance is good, it like hits different, so I'm excited for these. It's slightly apprehensive, but I'm not sure every single one of these will be hits, but we can see. So first of all, I have this series to mention. I think this is verging on literary, which is why I wanted to mention it first, because I think this is the one kind of section of books that doesn't really count within this genre, but whatever. This is Crazy Rich Asians by Kevin Kwan. So I've got Crazy Rich Asians, China Rich Girlfriend, Rich People Problems. This book is also taller and floppy. I mean, we can forgive this. I'm sure everyone's heard of this because it was adapted into a film a few years ago now. I didn't actually love the film, but I've heard that the books are much better, slash if you didn't enjoy the first book, if you didn't enjoy the film, then you might enjoy the books instead. But I'll read the back. I will also read the first line because I thought, like my usual TBR videos, it'd be fun to do that. When New Yorker Rachel Chu agrees to spend the summer in Singapore with her boyfriend Nicholas Young, she envisions a humble family home and quality time with the man she hopes to marry. But Nick has failed to give his girlfriend a couple of key details. One, that his childhood home looks like a palace, and two, that he just happens to be the country's most eligible bachelor. Soon Rachel's relaxed vacation turns into an obstacle course of old money, new money, nosy relatives and scheming social climbers. So running Rachel and Nick, they're dating already, which is why I don't think this entirely counts as a romance book, but they're not married yet. I think by the end of book 3 they are married, so we do kind of follow that course, but they are quite fresh and whatever, already existing into something much more. I think it is a lot more about his family over in Singapore, maybe with less focus on their relationship, which means it probably could be a little bit more kind of lit ficky or even just contemporary minus the romance. But yeah, these 3 books, I'm really intrigued to see what I think about them. I'll read this one and then assess how I'm feeling about the whole series, and then I might potentially get rid of these 2 if I'm not obsessed with this one, but if not, I'll give book 2 a go and then we shall see. I'm hoping to love them though, obviously. That's the reason why I picked them up. There were actually recommendations years ago from what's her name, it's literally exited my brain. I'll link her channel down below because I'm hopeless right now. But yeah, those are the first 3 books. I never know whether to read the prologue when I'm reading the first line. I'm gonna skip it for this one. You sure about this? Rachel asked again, blowing softly on the surface of her steaming cup of tea. We're going to start a stack behind us. I also should have addressed this at the beginning of the video, but I have sinusitis. It's something that I get kind of frequently. My mum's had this virus cold thing. I caught the virus off her and I have adapted it into my own thing, sinusitis. But yeah, right now I feel quite under the weather. This is my kind of second full day of having it, and to be honest with you, I probably should not be filming a video right now. I really want to get this video up for you tomorrow, so that's why we're here. I'll just have a relaxed afternoon of editing this. Now we will move on to books that I actually am certain fit within this genre. Very fresh book, a spoiler for one of my book calls coming in the near future. That is The Love Wager by Lynn. This was actually a book that I received for my birthday. My birthday was a couple of days ago, and yes, I was slightly sick on the day. We have a bit of a rough day. My favourite tennis player, Novak Djokovic, lost Wimbledon, and Jane Birkin died, which has been unenjoyable to say the least. But yeah, I did get some lovely gifts, and this was one of them from my friend Abby. This is Asda's like special edition that was raising money for breast cancer, which is why it's got the pink sprayed edges. But in this book, I believe, actually let's just read the back because I don't want to get this wrong. I have a rough idea about what this is about, but I'm not entirely sure. After yet another disastrous date, Hallie Piper decides it's time to grow up. She gets a new apartment, a new haircut, and a new wardrobe. But when she logs into an app to find a new love, she matches with none other than Jack, a guy the wrong kind of sparks had flown with just weeks earlier. I think they'd met either like on a first date or just like bumping into each other, and they'd not got on, and so they kind of avoided each other. And then she matches with him on a dating app because they realize that they're incompatible, or so they think. They agree to kind of help each other find their one true love, and in doing so they fall in love. I believe this is adult, or at least new adult. I have read Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. I absolutely loved it. It's a 5-star read. It's kind of rare that I give contemporary romances 5 stars, so I'm very, very excited to pick up more of her work. I'll see what I think, because I think part of what worked for me in Better Than the Movies was the fact that it was YA, but we'll see. Can I get a Manhattan and a Chardonnay, please? Happy Ever After playlist by Abby Jimenez. I mentioned this book recently in a book haul, and I believe I also put it on a TBR video. That could be wrong, I don't know, but I'm very, very excited about this book. I bought it because it was £4 on Amazon, and so I decided to snap it up. But yeah, we're following Sloane, and one day while she's like out on a walk, she finds a dog, and the dog doesn't have an owner, so she takes the dog in and tries to find out if there's anyone who can claim ownership of the dog. And she gets in touch with this guy called Jason. It turns out that Jason is a singer. He's actually on tour in Australia, but they kind of start this exchange of texts and calls and things like that. I think even like over the texts and calls they have a connection that kind of gets like a bit flirty and whatever. I guess they meet each other. That probably happens. Yeah, I'm really excited about this book. It's got the One of Us is Famous trope. It's got a dog as one of the main characters. I just have such high hopes for this one. It also has a playlist in the back that has a bunch of my favorite artists' songs in it. I'm just so hyped about this, and I think it could be very, very good. I'll be very disappointed if it's not, but you know, I might just be having too high expectations. Do You Want Me to Meet You at the Cemetery, Sloane? This is also a second book in an interconnected standalone series. The first book is called, what is it called? The Friend Zone, which I haven't read. I don't plan on reading it, so the plot is not something I'm really interested in, but if I love that and I love her writing, whatever, then I might pick up that other one. I started reading the Addicted series this year, and I've read the first book, which is called Addicted to You. So I have books 2 and 3 in that series as well. I don't have the other books just because they're kind of expensive, and so I'm collecting them slowly, but whenever I'm able to, I purchase one of them. So the second book I bought with a voucher. I got an Amazon voucher through TikTok. You get someone else to sign up and you get Amazon vouchers or something. I don't know. The point is, this book was basically free, and shout out to TikTok for that. Third book is very, very cool actually, because I won a giveaway on Instagram, which was hosted by, why am I literally blanking on people's names? I follow this girl and she's great. Her username will be on screen and her Instagram will be linked down below. I won this giveaway, and that involved getting in touch with Krista and Becca Ritchie via email. I had a little exchange with them, and I was able to thank them for their books. And they sent me this book, they sent me a bookmark and a little postcard, and they also signed the book. Really lovely and so special. So this is definitely a series I need to pick up soon. The Addicted series follows Lily and Lo. They're two best friends who are both struggling with addictions. Lily is addicted to sex and Lo is addicted to alcohol. They kind of enable each other, and they form this kind of fake dating relationship in order to do so, but it's about kind of their friends and family gradually finding out and trying to help them, and it's this whole journey. But Lily and Lo have a really good connection, and then the friendships they kind of form, particularly in book 1, kind of shape the rest of the series and create this kind of found family aspect to it, which is the reason why I first got interested in the series, because that's one of my favorite things in books. These are the first 3 books, and then it goes into another kind of companion series, which is the Calloway Sisters. So after I read Addicted for now, I will be moving off into the other one. I wonder if I can read some first lines here, or if I might get into spoiler territory. We'll see. Well, this one just says I effed it up, so I think that's fine to read. And then Addicted for now says, of all the days in the month, I had to be stuck in traffic on the one that means the most to me. Next up is another book that's a sequel in a series, but unlike the Addicted series, this is another one that's kind of like an interconnected standalone, and that's Twisted Games by Anna Huang. So I read Twisted Love back at the beginning of the year. I think it was the second book I actually read, so I read it in January, and I've been meaning to pick up the next book in the series, because while I'm gonna be honest, I didn't love Twisted Love. It was absolutely wild, but not in a good way. I am interested in picking the second book up because I could see a potential, like they're just fun kind of semi-trashy reads, you do get that kind of enjoyment, like that entertainment aspect out of them, which was the main thing that I liked in Twisted Love. I also appreciate that it was kind of unashamedly just kind of bad, not well written or anything like that. But there's 4 books in this series, and I've actually heard the book 2 is a lot of people's favourites. Stoic, broody and arrogant elite bodyguard Reese Larson has 2 rules: protect his clients at all costs and do not become emotionally involved ever. He has never once been tempted to break these rules until her. Bridget von Ascherberg is a princess with a hidden fire that reduces his rules to ash. Day by day she breaks down his defences. He swore an oath to protect her, but it's not enough. She must be his princess, his forbidden fruit, his every depraved fantasy. Regal, strong-willed and bound by the chains of duty, Princess Bridget dreams of the freedom to live and love as she chooses. But when her brother abdicates, she's faced with the prospect of a loveless political marriage and a throne she never wanted. As she navigates the intricacies and treacheries of her new role, she must also hide her desire for a man she can't have, her bodyguard, her protector, her ultimate ruin. Unexpected and forgiven, theirs is a love that could destroy a kingdom and doom them both. So that we've got some forbidden love, we've also got this kind of like difference in kind of power dynamic. We met Bridget in Twisted Love, and we also met Reese because he was like hired across Twisted Love, as in like Bridget got a new bodyguard. But yeah, I think this could be quite fun, and I'm also hoping it reads a little bit like a fantasy book because we are existing in this kind of made-up kingdom. But yeah, that's Twisted Games. I'm really not sure how I feel about this. It could be terrible. I do think I'm going to enjoy it more than Twisted Love, but we will see, and we'll see also about whether I pick up books 3 and 4. I better read the first book with a friend. I'm going to body rate the second book with the same reference, so if anything it can just be something we can kind of laugh over, hopefully not cry. Right, next up, another book that kind of doesn't entirely fit, but quite an Emily Henry book. Her books are still classed as contemporary romances, but they do definitely have an aspect that's a little bit more literary. So this is Book Lovers. This is Emily Henry's 3rd book. I've read 2 of her books. I've read Beach Read and I've read People We Met on Vacation. I hated Beach Read, to be honest with you, and then I really love People We Met on Vacation. So I'm really interested to see how I feel about this one. Thankfully my problems with Beach Read were nothing to do with Emily Henry's writing, kind of the construction of the novel. It was just about the actual like individual plotting and characters and things like that. I think that's a reason why I could get on so well with You and Me on Vacation. I'm switching between the English and the American titles with that, by the way. But I'm not sure how I feel about Book Lovers. I think one of the things I didn't like in Beach Read was what the main characters called. Gus and January are both in the book world, and I don't love reading about that. I think it's a little bit kind of meta when authors write about characters who work in the same industry as them. And in this book we have Nora and Charlie, who are also working in publishing. That could be a little bit of a turn off, but we shall see. I'll read you the back of this anyway. Nora is a cutthroat literary agent at the top of her game. Her whole life is books. Charlie is an editor with the gift of creating bestsellers, and he's Nora's work nemesis. Nora has been through enough breakups to know she's the one men date before finding their happy ever after. To prevent another dating dud, Nora's sister persuades her to swap her city desk for a month's holiday in Sunshine Falls. It's a small town straight out of a romance novel, but instead of meeting sexy lumberjacks, handsome doctors or cute bartenders, Nora keeps bumping into Charlie. She's no heroine, he's no hero, so can they take a page out of an entirely different book? That was cringe, that last little tagline there. Anyways, could be good, could be bad. We'll have to see. I hate this cover. I hate this cover. Like, what were they thinking with these colours? This yellow with this dark purple, and then this hot pink red colour, and then this like Barbie pink next to this baby blue. Like, I like the actual design, but the colour scheme is just one of the worst ones I've ever seen in my life. But whatever. I hope you do enjoy it. We shall see. First line in this is... Oh, we're going to skip the prologue, aren't we? Why is this prologue so long? Oh my gosh. Yikes. Okay. The city is baking. Okay. I can't believe it took so long to get to that. That was ridiculous. I also realised I missed the first line in Twisted Games. I can't read that. That's not happening. That is entirely inappropriate. You think I'm being prudish, but like genuinely, you can read it for yourselves. It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. This book follows Piper, and we follow, what's his name? Brendan. And Piper is kind of like this wild child socialite, lives on her daddy's money. So she's sent away to this small fishing village so that she can kind of like get in line. And while she's over there, she bumps into Brendan. I think that the whole point of this book is about how different Piper's personality is from Brendan's. I think it's a bit of a hate to love. It's small town, grumpy meet sunshine trope. Maybe not hate to love. I think they just immediately set off on the wrong note. So Piper has to decide whether she wants to stay in this little fishing town or go back to her old life where she was kind of living it up and enjoying herself. Because it's called It Happened One Summer, this is one that I do want to read this summer. I think it's one that I'm going to put on my August TBR, but I don't know whether I'm going to end up getting to it, because it is quite chunky and there's lots of books I want to read in August, but we shall see. This is a very popular book, so people kind of tend to hate it or love it, so we'll see what I think. It kind of just matches my outfit because I look a bit nautical. Fun. That's that. The unthinkable was happening. We've got a lot of short, simple sentences. Another book that I kind of associate with that one, even though they're totally different, is Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score, or I guess this is Small Town, isn't it? So this follows Naomi and Knox. This has got quite a complicated little synopsis. So I'm going to do my best to explain this. Maybe we'll just like summarize the back. Now my character Naomi has a twin, and Naomi's running away from her wedding and she's going to stay with her twin. When she gets to her twin sister, the twin Tina leaves her daughter with Naomi. So this is Naomi's niece, and Naomi didn't even know she had a niece, like that Tina had a daughter. So she's kind of stuck with this 11-year-old. Then it turns out that Tina is really disliked by the rest of the town because Naomi's her identical twin. The town keep mistaking Naomi for Tina. She's immediately disliked. So again, we kind of have that maybe grumpy meets sunshine, hate to love, or misunderstanding thing going on. But this one has got a child involved, which I haven't actually read many books with that kind of trope. This is like 500 pages, and my bestie read it and she hated it basically. So, but I've heard so many good things, and I also think that the sequel sounds great. It's called Things We Hide from the Light, the pink cover. That sounds kind of more up my alley than this one does, so I feel like maybe I could just kind of push through this one even if I'm not liking it and get to that one. I'm gonna go into this with kind of low expectations, but I don't want to go into this like convincing myself I'm gonna dislike it, because it could be great. There are so many people who do love this a lot, so that's that. I also love this cover, and apparently these daisies like come to mean something as you go on through the book. I wasn't sure what to expect when I walked into Cafe Rev, but it sure as hell wasn't a picture of myself behind the register under the cheery headline, "Do not serve." That's a really good first line. I like that a lot. So obviously the picture of herself is actually of a twin. We have to mention it, people, it's on my TBR, temporary romance book, and it exists within my collection. This is Confess by Colleen Hoover. I've never read a Colleen Hoover book. I know that people kind of hate her now, but I bought this before all that stuff came out about her, and I still haven't picked it up. So I think I'm just gonna read this and like keep it a bit under the radar and then like not talk about it a lot. But I heard Alexa Ray from Alexa Ray's Library, I think that's what her channel's called, or that's her Instagram at least, or whatever. This is one of her favorite ever books, and she just gave so much high praise about it. And this was, like I said, pre all the drama about Coho. I'm gonna read this one and then see what I think. I mean, I'm not expecting much from it. I think the writing's not gonna be great, but the story does sound kind of interesting. So we're following Auburn Reed, and she walks into a Dallas art studio in search of a job and finds this guy there called Owen Gentry. I think he owns, oh no, he's an artist. Basically with his art, he does this thing where he gets people to send in their confessions, and then he makes art based on the confession. So the middle part of this book actually has an entire section of like his paintings, which I think is so cool. And so Coho actually worked with an artist to like create these. These will link to things in the book, and they're just like really, really cool paintings. I love that whole concept about what he does. I don't actually know much about the plot, but I do know that he's keeping a secret from her. That's Confess. It's definitely an underrated Colleen Hoover book. I would like to read one of her books. I'd like to see kind of what she's like, because it's such a mysterious thing for me, because she was absolutely huge like a couple of years ago, and I never read a thing, like I said. So that'll be my first and perhaps only Coho book. I squirm in my chair as soon as he tells me his hourly rate barely fits. The other thing with Coho is that her books are apparently very easy and quick to read, so I might just like chuck that in 1 month. And then lastly, perhaps a little more literary, but still within the genre of contemporary fiction, no, contemporary romance, the overarching genre of fiction. TJL, Taylor Jenkins Reid. So I've got 2 books by her. I've got 2 of her backlist books. I believe I'm missing 1 of them. Perhaps there's 2 more I haven't read, but I have read a lot of her books. These 4 here, plus a little novella she wrote. These ones here are all of her Hollywood, it's not a quartet, it's like 4 books that are all set within the same world about famous people. And this is more from her backlist that I've been wanting to read for many, many years now. So first of all, I have After I Do. This follows Lauren and Ryan, and they fall in love, get married, and then they take a break from their marriage because they feel like they're about to break up. So they take a year off from each other, and it's about what happens over that year, where they might meet someone else, or maybe they will be able to come back together towards the end of it. So that's that. It's kind of a crazy plot. I mean, if you're having to take a year off from your partner, that's a long time. A month? Maybe? That's still quite long. But like a year? We were in the parking lot of Dodger Stadium, and once again, Ryan has forgotten where we left the car, setting off on a bad note. And then I have One True Loves. This one I put on the TBR a couple months ago and I never got to in the end. We're following Emma and Jesse, and they are high school sweethearts. They get married, and 364 days after their wedding, Jesse goes missing on a helicopter crash, so he's presumed dead. Then years later, Emma has grieved his death. She's learned to live again, and she's fallen in love. And when she's at a family dinner, I think she's engaged to a new person, she gets a phone call from Jesse, and it turns out that he's alive and he wants her back in his life, or he wants to come back into her life. About what she does, whether she kind of takes him back and resumes their relationship, or whether she chooses her fiance over him. Like, I don't know how there could be any conclusion out of this, but apparently her choice is one that people kind of are content with. So I'm really, really intrigued to see what happens at the end of this book. But I think it could be quite a difficult one as well, because we do have that whole storyline of grief and also feeling of her being torn between these 2 loves of her life. So there we have it, everybody. Those are the many, many books that I want to read very, very soon that all fall within the romance genre. I'm actually excited for all of them. I just think that there's some of them that I might not love. I want to love them all, if that makes sense. So if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you'd like to stick around. I post every single Wednesday and Saturday. I have a lot of fun creating content on YouTube specifically, but you can also follow me on my Bookstagram, which is Jemima Rose Reads. I will see you on Saturday, like I said, for another video. Bye.